Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Majestica Powertrain, out February 7th on Nuclear Blast. The album has 10 tracks, 47 minutes in length, and this is the band's third full-length studio album. They are a Swedish symphonic power metal band. As far as the design is concerned, the design kind of hides what the album really is all about. Because at first glance, when you listen to this record, the design of the album feels very neutral, very balanced, very linear, like almost there's no changes. All of these songs have a very similar approach, a very similar output, almost blending one into another and almost allowing you to feel like you've heard this song before. The more you listen to this record, the more you realize that's actually not the case. There is a red line, there is an arch that connects all of these songs, and that arch, that sense of connection definitely comes from two elements, the guitar sound and the vocal performance. But the album has a lot of uniquenesses within these songs. Not all songs are equal to one another. Some songs from a soundscape point of view have a more of a symphonic drive, some have less, some have more of a traditional power metal sound. So the way they organize these songs allows you to feel like they all blend into one another, creating this linear motion, but actually the album feels a lot more dynamic when you actually see what the sound and what the execution on the individual tracks is all about. And speaking of that sound and that execution, I mentioned the guitars being one of the cornerstones, and my god, they are. This record has incredible guitar sound from beginning to end. It has an incredible sound all around, but the guitars are such an important piece of this record. The melodies, the hooks, there's not a single song on this album that does not have a melodic riff or a melodic hook, either in the verses or in the chorus. The guitar playing on this album is phenomenal, exactly what we've come to expect from Majestica, but I think on this album they turned the knob all the way to 11. And then with great production behind it, allow them to use the orchestrational side, the symphonic element side, in a very interesting way. When the songs need to be a little bit more epic, more cinematic, this album has a lot of epic and cinematic songs, almost like movie scores, if you will. Then those symphonic elements are pushed to the forefront at an equal level to what the guitars are providing, becoming the perfect partner between the two, allowing the melodies that the two have to intertwine with one another, creating massive songs. Tracks where you don't need that to be as much of a driving force, where you don't need the song to be as epic because the lyrical content doesn't call necessarily for something out of this world, not something like a dragon theme song, for example. Then they brought them a little bit deeper into the mix, having more of a sporadic impact throughout the song and allowing the guitars to take that podium in the forefront. And then in tracks that they just wanted that more pure, natural power metal sound, they become almost segregated to just a thin layer within the overall texture that the songs offer, allowing the guitars to just navigate, actually to throttle throughout the entire song and just push the listener forward like you're on a freight train that's never gonna stop. That's the vibe that this record has. The sound on this album, it's really mobile. It moves quite a bit. It uses the same ingredients, but it presents them in a different format. And that is a key element in order to keep the record balanced all around, but still sounding incredibly dynamic. All of this is not to say that, for example, the drums and the bass do not play a role in what the sound and the impact of the sound is. There are certain songs on this record where the drums take more of a center stage, or even the bass takes more of a center stage. That tends to happen on tracks that are not as driven, that have more of a ballad feel to them. Those tracks, a little bit of the air is taken out of the balloon, so you are able to feel, listen, and sense the impact of the drums and the bass a lot more. They have more room to move, and they have more room to move forward. Overall, I felt like the drums and bass did a great job consolidating the back end of the sound on this album, giving the guitars the pedestal that they needed to drive and to be the pillar and the impact that they have on the entire album. When it comes to the other cornerstone, the other pillar, you have Tommy's vocals. He is a phenomenal vocalist, and on this album he pulls no stops. Incredible range on full display, one of my favorite voices in power metal, but in metal in general. He has such a great range, he has such a great voice, and one of the interesting things that I thought that this album did really well is bringing the choirs, the backing vocals, because it added to the sense of fantasy that a lot of these songs had already in them from a soundscape point of view, but also from a lyrical perspective point of view. So bringing that more choir, those chants, those hymns style vocal approaches definitely also increased in epicness the size of the record and obviously the songs that are impacted by it. And when you put all of this together, you have such a fun, great record to listen to. If you're a fan of symphonic power metal, if you're a fan of classic power metal, if you're a fan of more modern power metal, I mean, this album is gonna hit the nail regardless of where you point it. It just has all of these elements combined into one single album, with songs giving you more of one, some songs giving you more of the other, but all of them giving you great quality and an incredible vocal performance that is balanced throughout. As far as favorite songs goes, I want to start off with No Pain, No Gain. Great flow, using the guitar sound to really push that flow forward. The verses are a little bit heavier with a more natural power metal essence to it, a more classic power metal essence to it. The symphonic elements are there, but they're there to add some size in the background. This track really allows the guitars to have some room in the forefront, and then the chorus is an absolute earworm. The chorus is both hooky musically and vocally. You just gravitate to this chorus, such an easy chorus to linger in your brain for you to sing along. The chorus has this ABBA feel to it, the way ABBA created choruses in their songs in order to really hook the listener in. This track does exactly the same thing, but more in a power metal setting with a symphonic backdrop. Next you have Battle Cry. Now Battle Cry to me is a symphonic power metal hymn. This is what would happen if Manowar turned everything to 11 and added symphonic elements to every single song that they ever released. This track is an homage, if you will, to a band like Manowar. I felt that. I felt it in the sound, I felt it in the lyrical content, I felt it in the way the vocals are used with some of those backing vocals, those choirs really adding to the sense of almost a battle hymn, if you will. Not a battle cry, but a battle hymn, if you will. So this song has all of that essence. It has great cinematic value to it. It's a super epic track because the impact of the symphonic elements mixed in with those choir vocals really brings this song to life. It's a song that's filled with vocal excellence and great sound to match it. Last but definitely not least, A Story in the Night. Now this track has one, if not the most contagious, hookiest guitar melodies on the album. It ignites the song. The verses are fast, they're driven, but they still allow the storytelling aspect when it comes to the vocal performance. And the vocals just soar. They soar in the verses, they soar in the chorus. It's a bombastic track when it reaches that chorus, both from a musical standpoint, but also from a vocal standpoint. I enjoyed the backing layers that this track had. You notice them more in the chorus, less in the verses, but they're there on both. And that gave some depth and some thickness to Tommy's vocal range and vocal performance, making the song feel more complete, more full, more bombastic. Great performance, great song. Like I said, one of the most, if not the most hookiest melody guitar riff is on this track, A Story in the Night. This is it, Majestica with Powertrain, out February 7th on Nuclear Blast. Hit me up in the comment section, let me know your thoughts. I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.